And welcome back to the IWAR Network Tubecast. I'm your host, NWL and IWL Commissioner Alex G. And with me, as always, IWAR Commissioner Matt Riley. How you doing tonight, Matt?
I'm pensive.
I don't know what that means. Mike pensive?
No. I'm all right. The thunderstorm's looming, so we're trying to get this in before we get our power cut off. At least I do, at least. You'll be talking for an hour, and I'll be like, yeah, I'm
gone. So today's episode is the Spring Cycle in Review. And as always, we will start off with the BRL. League Champion, Sinister, Steve Stryker. TV Champion, Agent 26, Atlantic, Moon Warrior, Central, The Bagman, Jimmy Henchman, Dixie, Luther Alexander, Eastern, The Black Superstar, Bobby Bedlam, Mountain, Cowboy, Jim Spur, Northern, Patrick O'Malley, Pacific, Queen Isabella, Prairie, The Midnight Warrior, Southern, Nightmare, Sam Hell, Western, The Extreme Icon, Hannibal, Tag Team Champions, The Midnight and Moon Warrior, TV Tag Team, Bruce and Keith Scott, Six-Man, Sam Whiskey, The Executioner, Classy Eddie DeGrassi, and the TV Six-Man, the Warriors of the Midnight Warrior, Moon Warrior, and the Shadow Warrior. So that are the champions for the BRL. So Matt, what's going on in the BRL?
Well, a lot, actually. Interesting to note that...
Too much.
I know. It was good to see the dirt sheet return with Mark Kayfabe. So, Sinister Steve Stryker. What's that?
He's an asshole.
He is.
Fuck that.
But I like what he does for the league, so I let it go. A couple years back, I actually used to have Johnny Vendetta, Steve Adkins ran him, but Johnny Vendetta was an Attaboy name way back in the early days, and he used to write a commentary, kind of a similar tone where you kind of just watch the game from a distance and kind of call how he saw it. When the league got really big, I decided to bring Mark Kayfabe in to help do the similar thing because the league is so big, it kind of helps get through the traffic. There's a lot going on. So we'll talk about Kayfabe in a bit. But Sinister Steve Stryker retained the title and earned $50 in Attaboy credit.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that's a lot. And good to know that there's other leagues out there for credit. Not many, but there are a few. But this, of course, BRL always ends up, pumping out $40+ bucks. Because we have so many players involved. So thank you to everyone who supports the BRL, which, by the way, earned the 2-for-1 match deal. So $4.97 going into $4.98, you can 2-for-1 match deal. So what that gets you is like if you do like a, $5, right? You get 6 matches. Well, with this, you'd get 12 matches.
Yeah.
If you did a $12 match deal, you'd get double the matches. So it's a way to bump up your record. Just keep in mind, BRL-wise. The cycle after this one, it's 3-for-1, and the cycle for 500, it's 4-for-1. So we're going into the 500th issue, really, getting there. I was bummed. I had a 500 with Jim Spur, and he got nothing. Oh well. I was happy to see Noble House get the title page. They kind of had a rough patch for a while. And in a similar note, I had some players reach out to me recently and kind of say, hey, I know the BRL is super tough, but do you have any advice for players who are hitting the low 490s or not just breaking 495, because in the BRL, you can have a 497 and blank. That happens often. So, you really got to bring your A game, so to speak. So what I tell people all the time, the best thing to do is diversify. I see a lot of players go all in on a hold, and it's sort of like roulette. If you sit there on a roulette wheel and you go all in on 36 red, well, okay, you got 36 red really covered. But if you go on to, other numbers as well, you're going to have a better chance of win. Well, similarly, if you only drop the same 2 holds for all your guys, and the back end, it's a thing too. Let's say, for example, you were convinced number 1, number 5 are going to drop. So you think that airplane spin and atomic drop are going to drop. And you go, I believe it, there's nothing you can tell me to change my opinion, those are going to drop. Okay, that's fine. But for your bottom 5 holds, mix it up. Because, not that I'm in the Jade, but I saw the flack on the LWL message board, Facebook page.
Guys are jumping out of buildings.
Yeah, a lot of people upset at what happened to the holes in the Jade. And I was going back with Jimmy Davis telling him, dude, how you feel right now is how I felt my entire 2 runs at LWL. They were just so frustrating because you would think, okay, I got 6 feds, I got 5 drops to work with, and then bang, it would always be something, a curveball. Now, sometimes it would be a curveball, but the curveball would be, and there was no curveball. You wouldn't expect a meatball down the middle of the pipe, and the guy who played the percentages won. So, the LWL is tough because it's one wrestler, one strat. So you don't have much room for any kind of error. In the BRL, you're allowed up to 6 wrestlers. So one reason to bring in more than 1 or 2 wrestlers is to kind of diversify your strats. So that way, if one of your 3 does well, at least you're going to get a title scene. You can kind of work with that. Tag team wise, man, it's a tough tag team league. It really is. It is the IWA's tag league, essentially. So I would just suggest thinking about bringing another wrestler in, that's fine. But if you already have wrestlers there now, my first piece of advice is don't go all in on one set of holds. And the reason I know players do this is I do the strats, so I see all the numbers, and I see the same manager's guys with 484, or let's say it's like 490, 491, 490, 491. So they almost did no change in their hold. It's why you'll kind of see, like, Adam Cash. I have Adam Cash and Patty the Butcher, and you'll see one of them do really well and one not do well. And that's not just because I don't double my holds, which I do sometimes. I want to know, just getting back to the title page, the Moon Warrior, Midnight Warrior tag team, I'm not sure, but I believe that's Jeff Annabelle's tag team, and I do know that's the first time they won the tag titles together since 2000, I think it was 2008.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so they were in there way back when, so they came back, so that's their second reign's about 8 years later. So
just to give people an idea how tough the BRL is.
How tough is
they had 31 wrestlers with a 495 and above.
Yeah.
Some leagues don't have 31 active wrestlers. So I just want everyone to keep that in mind.
Yeah, it's there was that back roll press from years ago. We talked about one of the prior shows. There was a thing with the top 10 leagues in the game, and the league that I was in was a CCL at the time, Claw and Cat League, and they called it an unbelievably tough league, and it was. It just had so many good players. And the thing about a tough league is that your wrestler's record is going to look more rough than it would. Like, I see guys come in sometimes, like I'll look at the BRL right here, right? So I see guys here with records like 1,000 wins and 200 losses. I'm like, wow. Or Jane Red, 1,000 wins, 198 losses. And then I look at someone like Rick Riley, who has 1,500 wins and 842 losses. But he spent almost an entire career in the BRL. So when you face tougher leagues, you're going to take more losses. And in this kind of league, where, like, for example, Adam Cash just qualified for the 10th spot to get a TV title shot. He's 2,000 wins and 600 losses. So he's 1,400 points, if you will, for rankings, and he's only 10th. Any other league, that's probably like the number 1 or 2 contender. It's a tough league. There's some big records in there. People know there's a big prize attached to the championship. There's a lot going on in the league. If you're in the BRL, you got a good shot at the Metro and the American. So, it's a good league to be in. But again, we know it's tough. We emphasize, believe me. I've had a frustrating year pretty much for the most part. So it's going to turn around any day now. I know it is. It's going to turn around. That's the BRL title scene. And, oh, yeah, Steve Stryker also won the Battle Royal.
Bless his heart.
That son of a bitch.
Do you want to talk about the ASL 500th anniversary pay-per-view? ASL versus BRL?
Yeah, the ASL hit 500 this cycle. Their Commissioner Frank Snow ran a BRL versus ASL kind of like, head-to-head show. You want to go through the results or just go through the ending?
Well, we can go through the results.
Okay, well, let's see. And the Endgame brothers, Chris and Eric, defeated RVD and Eddie Sweat in a tag match. Jawed the Bottom Feeder defeated Awesome Bomb. The Steele family, KC and JC Steele, defeated The Executioner and Eddie DiGrassi. Ghostly Shadows defeated Golden Boy Teddy Angel. Let's see here. The Ferenzi brothers defeated Grand Sabrosa, Prince Ton, Shocker Jimmy Electric. It says Shocker, but Shocker. Let's see here. Blood Money defeated Dr. Wagner 3 in the Darkness. Kirby York defeated El Barbero. Whiskies Jack and Steve defeated Silver Fox and Back Fox. That was Black Fox. Back Fox, whatever. In a battle of cat-themed wrestlers, Felix Nine Lives Buenaventura defeated Ghost Mittens the Cat. I don't know if it's the same Mittens the Cat from LWL, but anyways. Jimmy Rogue defeated Punk Rock Mike. Semi-main event, Sir Gunter Kinderwalk defeated Bodish's Biff Beverly in a feud that never really got a chance in the BRL, so we got to catch up on that feud. And then in the main event, legendary Frank Leatherman Snow defeated L.A. Hamilton. Overall, the BRL won 8 of 12 matches, so that little showdown went that way.
No Luther Alexander on the show, so fuck that.
That's right. I will say, people are asking, Imagine Bash 15 is going to be our July show. That's going to be the BRL 500 Super Show. We've mentioned before on the show that we're going to have, on this show, that we're going to have the super duper mega match where the IWAR World Champion defends the title against multiple challengers. And we're going to do it on Facebook Live. That's going to be real fun because it's going to be kind of like Royal Rumble where you won't know the other challengers except for the primary one, which is the Great David. You won't know who Agent 26 is defending against besides TGD, until the night of the show. So it's going to be kind of like the IWAR draft. It's going to be kind of a feeling out period. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, that's that. So in other trash talk news, I'll get to the thing I wanted to talk about that I told you about before, Blast. So let's leave that for last. Matt Rodriguez had another good promo against Mike Sebastian. The Suburban Hell Savages are talking about the fact that they are two of the top title holders right now in the IWAR, being that Agent 26 is the IWAR champion, and Punk Rock Mike has the global championship. And he's trying to tie the record that Robert Van Damage set. So we'll see where he goes. Sir Gunter Kinderwalk talks up about his Intercontinental Series with Shocker Jimmy Electric. He's currently ahead of him right now, so go either way. Sinister Steve Stryker is still trying to pull Hannibal into a feud, but Hannibal just won a regional for the first time in a long time, so we'll see if he can...
I thought he was dead.
Yeah, he's been around for a long time. I mean, he had a good cycle, so, he got the tag, TV6, and a regional, so he's getting there, a few regionals. Luther Alexander with some more words. The Endgame Brothers, Armies...
Good words. The best
good words. Okay, nice. It's a good word. Yeah. The Army talks about their tag championship with the IWAR title, which is currently process. We had Phantom Striker return and complain about his sales on IWAR, the Attaway shop. We had a condolence card from Bad Company to Noble House for eliminating them from the Murano. We have a return by Cowboy Jim Spur, who comes out and tells Big Bad Red Fox to stop whining about wanting a challenger. I'll beat you up. So a face look from the usually hated Jim Spur. We had a really big twist here where the Saskatchewan Sasquatch has been calling out Mad Dog Dick Jackson for months now, even though DJ's quote-unquote retired and become the announcer or color commentator for the IWL. And DJ came out to do a little like, hey, how's it going? Good to see you, fans. Doing a cross-promotion event. And Sasquatch attacked him. So DJ came down, caused a ruffle, caused him to lose to El Hombre, and said, I'll meet you at Imagine Bash. So there's a match, folks. Noble House took some of their promos from the Facebook page and put them into the issue, which I had actually kind of sent a message to him and said, hey, you do some really good promos, but you're always doing them on the Facebook page. And we have a lot of players who don't go to the Facebook page. So I just asked
Although they should.
Yeah. So anybody who does that, if you do a good promo, please share it with us by sending it in. The Legendary Six have arrived, and there's a six-man team, a tag team, and a singles wrestler. There's some sort of best of the best thing going on. I think it's Josh Haight versus Rich Schwarzenberg. I'm not sure. I think that's who it is. So we'll see where that plays out. Jimmy North is frustrated about his loss to Fatty at WrestleMania 5, and he wants a rematch. The Russian Roulette Trio want to be main event. They want to be in the top tier. Canadian Nation's talking up revenge against Adam Cash and Fatty the Butcher. The Los Rudos do a nice promo. That's El Barbero and Willie the Wild Woodsman. Whoop, that was some lightning. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
That's thunder, baby.
I love it.
Elijah the Mountain Man is focusing on singles titles, so he's really getting himself pumped up. Jaw the Bottom Feeder is looking for some partners, possibly. We have the End Games doing another interesting attack.
Fuck those guys. Fuck those. No, fuck that shit. We're talking about this shit now.
All right, let's talk about it. All right, let's talk about this.
These guys, I don't know what they're thinking. I don't comprehend. I don't understand.
Whatever do you mean?
Okay. I'm almost at a loss for words here, but I'm going to pull it together.
All right.
Because I'll have angst. Luther Alexander is a heel. He's been a heel for about 4 years at this point. I'm not sure what the end games are. The heels, baby faces, I don't know. I really don't know. So, they do what you can consider a sneak attack. Long story short, they do what you consider a high school bully attack where the payoff is they give Luther a big wedgie. What the fuck am I supposed to do with that?
Well, you could play off and get the school counselor involved and the principal.
No, I'm gonna rip their fucking head off. That's what I'm gonna fucking do. Holy shit. So Luther gets hit in the head with a tequila bottle. He gets choked with a baseball bat. He gets his wedgie, and then he gets shoved into a locker. I don't comprehend. I don't understand. I don't even want to respond because it's. When we talk about there's a couple things. You talk about having respect for someone's character, or at the very least, having an understanding of the character. Now, I'm all for Luther will be embarrassed, right? Right. That's what happens. Not like this, though.
Well, you could always do what Frank Snow used to do. Whenever someone would do an attack that was just really juvenile or stupid, Frank would just say it was a stunt double he hired.
You know what I really want to do? Is I'll take that entire promo, cut it out, submit it back, and then write stupid across it.
Well, you could do that.
I absolutely could. There's nothing stopping me.
You have the technology. You can make them stronger. Yeah.
But it goes back to, if you're going to write TT, if you're going to write sneak attacks and stuff, understand what you're doing. Understand where you want to go. Now, there's two types of people in this game. There's people who write TT to make a compelling story, right? So 9 out of 10, you're usually working with someone, maybe someone that you met on the Facebook group, you're messaging them, you're sharing emails back and forth to make the best compelling story.
Right.
There's other TT out there. What they do is they're competing with your TT. So you say, oh, I'm going to Eric M game, I'm going to punch you in the face. And then they respond, and they go back and forth, right? And they're competing, they're dueling banjos, essentially, with TT, right? So you can get underneath the other person's skin the most, who can say the most outrageous stuff, and if you like to play that game, if you like to play it that way, that's fine. But once you do something that crosses the line in terms of not understanding the character or disrespecting the character in any form or fashion, I don't really have time for you.
Well, I think it's the thing, when you have a character, if I had written an attack where, Senor Lucha was fighting ghostly shadows and flushed his head in the toilet, you'd be like, that's kind of stupid and juvenile. Like, that dude's not about that.
You remember when that Jedi guy took the fucking lightsaber and cut Atari's head off?
Yeah.
And that was complete bullshit?
Yes.
Like, that's the level that we're talking about here.
Right, and that's the thing is I think that, because I remember the end games, the player expressed frustration at some of the players ignoring their TT.
Well, because he doesn't sell.
Well,
that's his business. He doesn't fucking sell.
Well, that's the thing. You have to think about who sells, who doesn't. And what we mean by sell is when I see a player run with the ball, what I mean by this is I give a setup where I have Senor Lucha's meeting orphan kids, and he has an orphan kid, or he always goes in the stands and does his promos from the audience. If somebody writes a heel attack where he's dressed as an old woman who loves Senor Lucha and he attacks him out of the blue, I'm like, I'm going to laugh my ass off because it's a funny attack, but also, too, he's using what I gave him. In this kind of promo, you don't have much you can do with this. It's just in a promo to try to embarrass somebody or humiliate them, and it makes you look petty. So I would say, if someone's not responding to your trash talk, why are they not responding? Are they not responding because, one, they just, like, I've had players tell me they didn't respond to certain players because they felt intimidated that they couldn't, respond. They would look stupid. And I'm like, well, let's try. I've had players do, like, a paragraph We've seen guys like the Badass American Bikers do the same exact trash talk for like 10 years now. Not saying they're good, just saying, they will tweak here and there. So it can be done. But what we see more often is when players try and stay within their lane as far as if they're a good guy, a bad guy, or doing an attack that makes sense to the characters, sure. You can put plausible things in there. Like I had Rick Riley throw somebody off the roof once, but he threw him into a dumpster. So it wasn't like, they fell off the roof and he killed them. You got to think, like you said, where do you go with this? What would this player expect you to do with that attack? Like come back and use a weed whacker on him? Like, do you bring out the guy with the lightsaber? Like, what do you do? Do you get the wood chipper? One guy wanted to put Frank Snow in the wood chipper once. I remember that. They didn't do it, but it was like, okay. But again, like, where do you want to take this thing? Because it's going to get to the point of, like, this is stupid, and everyone hates it. Because right. I always look at things like, like I see a few between two other factions, and I read it, and I go, does it keep me interested? Am I entertained, or am I intrigued by what's going on? Either I am or not, like, okay, I'll play along. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. The Saskatchewan Sasquatch has been calling out Dick Jackson for months. I've purposely left him on the bench, inactive, for months. After 4 months of that, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give the guy something to go with. So I sent him an email and said, hey, you know what? I'm going to have DJ come back, and we'll set up this match at Magic Bash. And he's all excited about it, so he has something to work with. Now, if I had DJ come out and, like, make out with his valet to show him how sexy he is, one, that's not what Dick Jackson's about. And two, it just wouldn't play to that character at all. So think about that when you're writing your trash talk, because that makes a big difference for what players can work off of. So, all right. So then moving on, Jane the Vixen Red is talking about wanting a shot at the title. Calls herself the Queen of the BRL. We have Chief Bullgrey Fox talking about his Canadian Championship, which he's currently in the defense of. I'm glad to see Chief Bullgrey Fox doing well. He's a fun wrestler to watch. Catfish Rob talks about his stable. There was actually a halfway decent picture of Jane this time.
Yeah, I saw that.
El Barbero was back with his cat picture. I always enjoy that. Ghostly Shadows going after Liam Larrikin. Spoiler alert, if you're listening, I have word that Felix Buenaventura and Liam Larrikin will be leaving the BRL for other pastures. So Ghostly Shadows, I would say, would transfer his feud back to the Middle Night and Odin, but they went inactive. So I don't know if that's a one-time thing or if they're coming back. Frank Snow talks about his yard. Excited to take another rematch against Loudmouth Cash. Says at least his father, Bodacious Brad Blades, had guts. But
speaking of the Leatherman's yard, I feel that the Leatherman is the type of person that has like old like plastic furniture in his front yard, and there's like beer cans all over the place, and he doesn't mow it.
Well, that would be a promo to make, wouldn't it?
Sure, like, would be.
And some thunder. No, all right, it's a huge lightning flash. But again, that would be a promo you could cut while making fun of him or the Leatherman. But you could do it at like some kind of yard somewhere, and you're not actually at his place, but you're making fun. It's a way to like get it across. There's a Sasquatch calling out Snow. He used some actually pretty good personal attacks on DJ. So again, he went personal in his history, but not the actual player. We had more breaking news on the Randy the Rampage story.
He's dead.
He retired the beer. Here's one of those stories that came out of nowhere, and it's like the repeating story no one's really talking about, but it's still going on. And what it is Randy the Ram was a wrestler in the BRL. He was a fan favorite. He retired suddenly in January. Boom, he's gone. There's been this running thing where it's like he's been kidnapped and no one knows where he is. And this time it's an FBI agent entering the room and talking about Special Agent Fox Adonis and like all this stuff, and we're trying to find him. We saw him at a gas. Like, I don't know what's going on. So there's that. There's the picture of Jane Red.
She looks like Blossom from the show Blossom.
Yeah, she does. We have Mike Sebastian with another strong promo about Matt Rodriguez. He's looking for a big showdown at Magic Bash, so you can expect to see them. And the Hot Takes with Adam Cash and Fatty the Butcher and Luther had them talking about many things, but also issuing a challenge to answer the challenge from Canadian Nation. So as Luther is joining and step in to replace Adam as Fatty, and he take on Jimmy North and Gunnar Molson. So that's your BRL. I know it's a big pill to swallow, but I almost forgot the big one to talk about. But that's the BRL at Trash Talk in a snapshot. Now, we saved this last one because it needs to be addressed. Now, as you may know, if you're playing this, you're most likely a player that plays the creative style of play. And we encourage that in the BRL. We don't encourage personal attacks. We don't encourage or acknowledge them. We're only going to talk about this because it's been a long time since somebody played this way, but the Matt Rodriguez character came out and started basically breaking the fourth wall. And I don't mind that per se. I mean, CM Punk made it famous. But what I mean by that in an IWA sense, start talking about the hold drops and 27 double drops and 125. Like, if I'm a player, I always think of things like if I was watching wrestling. So I'm thinking to myself, if I watched a wrestler walk out on stage and basically bitch about like pay rate or the boots that like, it just would be so stupid. Like, what are you talking about? You know, this isn't like a Randy Orton dive thing. This is just someone bitching about the game itself. And what I don't get is that this player came into the league and had a reputation of being a personal attack kind of guy. And he's really impressive. We've talked a couple of times off the air about how impressive the Matt Rodriguez trash talk has been, what he's done with Latin, and the feud with Mike Sebastian. So it's a fun character, and it's a good thing going on. So to have this nearly like a 3/4 page trash talk whining about the IWA and how if you're any good in the game, it's because you're lucky, which it's true anyways. But you guessed right. You get it. It's just like you only make yourself look weaker. Like, you're whining about this game, like, dude, you have one of the biggest rosters in the game. Why are you telling us this? You've like, I always look at Mark Duchesne. Okay, Mark Duchesne has, I think, maybe 30 wrestlers, maybe. I don't even think it's that many anymore. And he's in about like 4 or 5 leagues. He's one of the best managers. He wins majors all the time. He's one of the BRL best wrestlers players all time. Like, he has like 20 championships to his name now. It's just insane. Some players can do really well because they have the right rhythm to their picks and they've got a system in place and it works. Other players do not. But what I do not like about it is the little lines where irrelevant manager too. Like, dude, you know what? If you've shown us you can be better than this, then be better than this. But if you're gonna be petty about it, like, you're wasting time because no one wants to read this shit.
And no one knows what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, it reads off like at least like back when Elrod was around a few years ago, he basically just transcribed Alex Jones and just took it and made it BRL wrestling stuff. So it was just like taking some other guy's stuff. You plagiarize Alex Jones, you put a wrestling spin on it, and you get trash talk. This is just whining, and it's nonsensical whining. So, dude, you're good at the trash talk thing, so keep it up. Just, don't worry about the other stuff because this isn't the dungeon anymore. The dungeon's dead anyways. So stick to Facebook or emails or whatever it is. But in the BRL, dude, stick to your character stuff because it's good. So that's the BRL.
So next up is the CWL Unified Wildcard Garrett Shadowstar Streaming Media Toxic. United States Nameless Minion of Solace #1. Yukon the Furious Dragon. Caribbean Milton Snodgebuster. Amazon Basin Death Warrant. British Isles Nameless Minion of Solace #3. Arabian Goliath O'Brien. South African Railroad Warrior Hammer. Siberian Darius T. Roughshod. East Asian Clark Pierpont. Oceanic the Tyrant David Hammerhead. Unified Milton Snodgebuster and Pokey McSnail. Streaming Media Railroad Warrior Ty and Railroad Warrior Spike. Unified 6-man Railroad Warrior Hammer, Ty, and Spike. And the Streaming Media 6-man Hazard, Toxic, and Rude Duty. Quick question.
Yeah.
We have the unified tag team titles. What unified them? Like, what were the titles that were unified in that tag title?
The old belts, the new belts.
Okay.
If you didn't know, the CWL, which is now the Continental Wrestling League, used to be the Canadian Wrestling League, and it was a Canadian theme transfer. And then before that, it was the Classic Wrestling League, which is when I had Barry Stevens there way, way back. There was a ton of thunder right now, so if you can't hear me, I'm sorry.
No, I hear you. I hear you perfect.
So, there's all that going on. So it's been through some transition. It's actually on issue 199. So next cycle is its 200th. Fun going on for that. So that's the reason for the unified stuff. Andy renamed the titles when he came in to kind of give it a new feel. Which, if you ever wondered why some of the titles have different names, that's because the commissioners have permission to change title names. As far as what's going on in the CWL, well, Killer Clown and Norman Spivey are in a little feud here. Killer Clown doesn't like him, and the fans don't like Norman Spivey, so who's put a 100,000 bounty on Killer Clown. Battle and Brian Kelly's got a strong feud with Goliath O'Brien. And, of course, Pokey McSnail and Milton Schnozzbuster are back at it. They're a fun tag team. I've seen them work for a long time, and they're a really good duo. They've really, like, if you read their trash talk, it's funny. Like, they do a really good back and forth, kind of a shtick thing going on. And then the Railroad Warriors have a trash talk where they talk about kind of getting back into the swing of things, using Wrestle Frenzy to prove themselves. There's a lot going on in the league as far as just, title points. Four Corners Invitational, which is a CWL run contest, had the first round go through. And what they did is they took all the commissioners from the league, so myself, you, Andy, and two of us, nominated a wrestler per manager as much as we could in our leagues and got them into a tournament. Then those wrestlers from each league were randomly paired up into tag teams, and they keep pairing them up randomly.
So every round you get paired up with a new person, is that?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe so, because I know the first round.
I think Luther was El Barbaro.
Oh, I'm sorry, maybe it's not re-round. It was because the first round it was Victor and Dragon Master won, and the second round it was Victor and the Patriot. So, anyways, there's that going on. There's a lot of stuff going on in the league as a whole.
What's the prize for that?
The prize for it, I believe, 25 free matches.
Nice.
So yeah, which by the way, some people ask if you have to use those all at once. You don't have to use those all at once. But if you let the Attaboy know what you used and keep track of it, that helps them, and they'll, running tally it. I think the biggest news coming out of here is that the Luchador trio of Puma Plata, La Gorba de Oro, and El Lince Negro went after the Von Schnaps again. But it's kind of up in the air as far as that feud going anywhere, so we'll get back to that in a second. But the CWL is, if you don't know, Andy Koenig is the commissioner. He's in college or grad school, I guess, and he's been working on it. So he's been, buried with work, family, and work, and more work. Those of you who said, "Oh, what happened to the report being a big TV show?" It's coming back in July, or no, sooner than that, I think, actually June. So we're going to see a return. It's a fun league, so if you're looking for some fun, it's where to go. So that's the CWL.
All right, fantastic. So next up is the IWL League Champion, Blackjack Robertson. Television, Haruki Fuji. New York City, the magnificent Black De Niro. Los Angeles, Mike Mason. Boston, Che Guerrero. Detroit, TJ Relic. Cleveland, Frederick Alexander. Dallas, Marcus the Monster Monroe. Memphis, Graham Underwood. Miami, the Damager, Marcus Fury. San Francisco, Nasty Norman Krasner. Chicago, the General, Ulysses Monroe. Tag Team, Frederick Xavier and Marcus Monroe. TV Tag Team, Piper Monroe and Ulysses Monroe. Six-Man, Alex Styles, Xavier Jimenez, Dylan Matthews. TV Six-Man, Marcus Monroe, Piper Monroe, and Ulysses Monroe. The Monroes are dominating the tag team scene. Holy shit.
They are.
Yeah, good for you guys. Good for you guys. There's so much to talk about in the IWL. It's ridiculous.
Where to begin? Well, I will say this, just so people can appreciate. Blackjack Robertson was the Metro champion for the cycle. So, congrats to Ryan on that one. Jerk.
He's been trying to get us thrown off the air for, since the beginning. Because we don't give him enough props. So, for once and for all, you are the man, okay? I bow down to you, my friend.
That's right.
So, there you go. So, I guess we start with Post to Post. We have James Carnage on the cover, and this is that James Carnage has bullied his way to the America Territories Championship, and there's a nice flag and a bald eagle behind him, so...
That's right.
That's always good to see. We go right into the Wrestle Riot pay-per-view. I'm not going to go too into it. You guys can read it for yourselves, obviously, and it won't really take an hour to go through this. For everyone who submitted matches, thank you guys. Did a great job. I wish my writing wasn't subpar, but unfortunately it is. So we'll move on from there.
Well, I mean, pay-per-view results came through.
Yeah, we went over them on the last show.
Yeah, that was a good read, so
yeah,
enjoyed it.
So again, we have new champions. We have James Carnage as the American Territories champion. We also have Mike Mason as the Southern Heavyweight World Champion, and he will be going into a series with J.J. Dallas for that championship. I believe J.J. Dallas is putting up his British Commonwealth champion, and it's going to be a unification match. Speaking of J.J. Dallas, he also earned the right to face James Carnage for the American Territories Championship at the King of the Ring. Also, J.J. Dallas and TJ Relic will be challenging the IWL Tag Team Champions, the regulators at King of the Ring. So JJ Dallas will have a busy night at the pay-per-view. I guess we start off with King Philip's IWL Lucha expansion. Looks like King Philip is adding much more luchadors, and they're being trained by who? Yes, that is correct. Senior Lucha.
Yes.
Will be training these young luchadors in the way of lucha.
Academy de Pro Lucha.
Yes. He's probably charging these poor kids like $10,000. Not teaching them nothing. So. He's stealing their money. Yeah. Picture of Tony Lowen and Van Death Valens with a nice little cross out and double ears. So IWA Flip has been again. He's taking this stuff off the Facebook page that he posts and he's putting it into the TT. So I definitely appreciate that. Again, like we said before, not everyone is on our Facebook page, although they should be. And if you're not, please get in contact with me right away. And we can make that happen for you. So basically, everything that you see from IWA Flip is stuff that he's posted on Facebook and stuff that you've already seen. Next up, we have a promo from Neo Dragon, and he's being interviewed by Mad Dog Nick Jackson.
Nick Jackson?
What?
Nick Jackson. Who's Nick Jackson?
Dick Jackson's illegitimate brother. So Neo Dragon's being interviewed with Dick Jackson, and then suddenly the lights fall, unfamiliar music begins to play, and a green spotlight appears and begins to blink red, green, and then back again as the crowd is waiting on bating breath. Neo Dragon has returned. The IWL's #1 draft pick is bringing down the house. The genuine article has arrived. So we have the return of Neo Dragon, and he's going to go off and feud with Luther Alexander. If you read the results from the main event of Wrestle Riot, we have J.J. Dallas, who had just recently pinned Marcus the Monster Moreau in the middle of the ring. J.J. Dallas leaves the ring area, and as Marcus starts to get up from his recent loss, he makes his way in the back. As he gets closer, two masked men step out.
Uh-oh.
Marcus stops himself and readies himself for a fight. Two masked men look at each other, and one of them holds out an envelope for Marcus to take. After a few 10 seconds, Marcus grabs the envelope. He opens the envelope, looks down and reads it. And it says, "We need to talk." So again, someone is messing with the monster here. That's never a good idea because he's going to be pissed. We have a picture of a Senor Lucha that says "murderer" in Spanish, which is nice.
What? Senor Lucha, a murderer?
Yeah.
Unthinkable.
You have Luther Alexander proclaiming that for the first time in Great David's life, he proved that he was a better man. He says maybe he'll win the King of the Ring, or maybe he'll just burn his house down. So there we go. We have Great David, promo from Great David. He's burying everyone. He's waiting for his next challenger. Good for him. Congratulations. Yes. We have a promo from Empire of Chaos, Ryan Patrick, who I believe smells like burnt hair and curry. I believe that's the aroma that comes from Ryan Patrick. He's proclaiming 589 days, as we know. He's burying J.J. Dallas and T.J. Relic. And then we have, he talks about Blackjack Robertson, talks about Alex Von Schnapp and how he's going to murder them. That's going to be fun. So next up, we have a promo from J.J. Dallas, and we see Great David and Koenig hanging out in the locker room when they're approached by the team of J.J. Dallas and T.J. Relic, they need a team name. Can we get them a team name, please?
The Mediocres.
No.
Oh, that's not nice.
They're really good.
I do like them, actually.
I think they're going to beat the regulars.
Team name would be good.
What?
A team name would be
yes. So they have a nice little interaction with Konix, and it fades to black. So interesting to see where we move going forward. So we have a Senor Lucha, and Matt, do you want to go into the to this T team because it's probably one of the best I've ever seen. Period. Bar none. I'm dead serious.
Oh, well, okay. Well, in this promo, Senior Lucha is talking to his students, which include Senior Incredible, El Más Fantástico, Perfecto Lucha, Paco El Pequeño Pato, Fabulous Lucifer, and Bonita la Belle. So they're kind of talking to him about how things are going, and he's talking about wrestling, and so one of them asks about Black Demon Jr. and that he keeps putting these posters out, calling you a murderer and saying bad things about you. What does it really mean? So Lucha kind of thinks about it. Then he tells him about how when he was coming up, Black Demon and he were both in the Mexican Wrestling Alliance together. While he was a technical wrestler, Black Demon was a powerhouse wrestler. They kept crossing paths, and an ugly rivalry formed. So promoters wanted to make money off this, so they put them in a tag tournament together. And Black Demon had a valet called Medianoche, which is midnight in Spanish, and she, was always by his side. So during the finals, Black Demon refused to tag back in, and he was trying to basically screw over Lucha, but somehow he pulled out the win anyways. And afterwards, Medianoche hugged Lucha, which sent Black Demon into a rage, and he attacked Lucha and left him unconscious. Unbeknownst to Black Demon at first, that Medianoche visited Lucha in the hospital because she felt bad for him. And while he was recovering from his injuries, Black Demon went on to become the champion of the Federation, and she kept sneaking away to visit him. So when he discovered this, he vowed to end Lucha's career. And they kept going, so they met in the finals of a pay-per-view, the Vengeance of Montezuma match, which is a 3 falls held in a tiered ring of 3 levels. And they battled, and of course, one got the first fall, then Black Demon got the second fall by bloodying Lucha with a steel chair. And then the last fall was an I quit or no mas fall. And they battled for nearly an hour until the top rope snapped. And as he was choking Lucha, Medianoche pleaded with him to be merciful, and he struck her. So Lucha broke free and locked what he calls a Mexican death lock, and locked it on, and basically finished her. So as he wore him down, Black Demon kept refusing to give up, kept refusing. So finally, he passed out and dropped him, and Lucha won, but they were unable to revive Black Demon. Dun, dun, dun. So he won the championship and the match, but Black Demon lost his life. And the students asked, well, why don't you use that move anymore? And he said, well, I've only taught it once. I don't teach it to you. And the only student I taught it to doesn't call it that. He calls it the Atari thumb. So he will never teach it to anyone ever again. And he believes Black Demon Jr. is very dangerous and doesn't want them crossing paths with him because he fears that he'll try to hurt them to get at him. Mm. So that sort of sets the tone that, leave Black Demon Jr. alone. So that helps give some background behind the whole why he's been attacking Lucha for months.
Next up, we have a Empire Chaos.
Oh no!
Looks like
what?
I was gonna say more bad things about Ryan Patrick, but
the guy better. Like burnt hair. The guy smells like burnt hair.
He has yellow fucking toenails. It's gross.
Oh. Poor guy. You think with the money he makes, managing a successful trio, or 6, I should say.
So it looks like the Empire Chaos is turning full heel at this point. Senior Lucha tried to talk some sense into them, and unfortunately for everyone involved, Empire Chaos are turning too evil.
Yeah, well, it started off with the Empire Chaos, which, if you don't know, is Primetime Alex Styles, Main Event Dylan Matthews, Extreme Xavier Jimenez, and then also the Regulators, which is Shotgun James Carnage, Texas Jesse Tombstone, and Blackjack Robertson. So those 2 6-man units form the Empire Chaos, run by Ryan Patrick. So they went on this mad assault with baseball bats and other weapons. And they went after the Masked Bandits, they went after the Baddest American Bikers, the Slaughters, Van Death Valen, Tony Lowen. So finally they go into Commissioner Reyes' office, and they're screaming about wanting title shots at the IWAR 6-man titles. So as they're threatening him, he points to the monitor, and Alec von Snopp is about to speak in the ring. So Alec is in the ring and basically calls out the Empire of Chaos and is like, you know what, you want your shot? Come on down here, and I'll take you on myself. I'm not afraid of you. So Senior Lucha, who the only reason he's part of the Empire Chaos is because they beat him at Battlecade last year, and the stipulation of the match was that he had to join the Empire of Chaos. So he comes down to ringside and he's trying to play Peacemaker, and he's like, no, don't call them out. There's still time to fix this. So while that's going on, Ryan Patrick comes out and sends the wrestlers down to surround the ring. So his Empire's around the ring, and they're basically, laying down the law, saying, you know what, we're going to take you guys out because we've won our rightful shot. You can make it happen. So Alec basically fires back, saying, you know what, you got to realize something. Your threats don't faze me. If you mess with one Von Schnapp, you mess with them all. And all of a sudden, jumping over from the fans is, oh my God, it's Victor, Alex, and Axel Von Schnapp from the CWL. They're in the IWL. And Robert Race comes out and says, hold on, you can't wrestle here because you're not under contract, but I have one right here. And Victor says, no, you don't, because I have it. And Victor says, watch this. He signs it. They say, well, guess what, Empire Chaos, you got some trouble now because the Von Schnapps are in town.
Oh, my fucking God.
So from a play perspective, in the existence of the IWAR, these are the two most dominant six-man teams in the IWAR history, and now they're in the same league. So this will be a fun little showdown. And, of course, Lucha rips off his Empire shirt and officially quits and says, you don't own me, and your bad ways are horrible. You're bad people. And you smell like curry. So that was that.
All right, so we have another promo by Noble House. Again, this is stuff that they've taken off the Facebook page.
Yes.
I think they do phenomenal stuff.
They do. I love it.
We have a following occurs after Wrestle Riot. We see Aliatari and Lady Xanadu at the hospital. Now, if you read the main event, Lady Xanadu was injured during the match between Great David and Luther Alexander. Dapper Dan D asking Atari about abandoning him, and Atari kind of struck back. He's like, I abandoned no one. Did what I could do to help Lady Xanadu. Dissension in the ranks, possibly?
Uh-oh.
We'll see. We have another promo by JJ Dallas and TJ Relic. Once again, as a reminder that not only do they have a shot at the IWL Tag Team Championship, not only does JJ Dallas have a shot at the Southern Heavyweight World Championship, in addition, JJ Dallas has a shot at the American Territories Championship. So they're super busy at this point, so good for them. That's awesome. Promo from the Regulators, 589 days as of May 9th, 2017. Yeah, so their next opponents will be JJ Dallas and TJ Relic, and that will be for the IWL Tag Team Championship at King of the Ring. We have a promo from the Monroes, which is sideways.
Yes.
I did read them, and they are sideways. So they continue their deal, and I'm looking forward to see what they, the Marcus Monroe thing. I think is going to be, it's going to be 100% badassery. So.
Yes. What about the Chaotix? Well, this is a reminder, folks. You can have your IWA bulletin emailed to you electronically, or you can get it paper, like I do, because I'm a nerd. And in the paper,
how many boxes of bulletins do you have currently? Because for the 4 years, I have like 6 boxes full of bulletins.
I have a fun picture of my shelf in my bedroom. I have a little, I organized the BRL ones. Yeah. The BRL ones are all like 12 by 16 boxes or whatever, and there's about, I think, 8 of them, maybe 9, and that's just BRL. I have other stuff too, but
Jesus.
Anyway, so let's not cry. The Monroes talk about wanting title shots, and then the Chaotix talk about the Empire Chaos, and they'd like a match against the next pay-per-view, but again, like you said, they're kind of busy right now, so we'll see where that goes. But just for the record, the Von Schnapps won the first matchup between the Regulators and themselves. So
there you go. Don't forget, guys, the King of the Ring will be happening shortly. What's the date on that? I have it.
It already started, didn't it?
No.
Oh,
yes
no?
and no. And I will explain to you. Now, what we're doing with the King of the Ring is that I picked 32 guys. Now, everyone will wrestle in a qualifying match to get entered into the King of the Ring. The King of the Ring itself is a 16-man one-night tournament.
Okay.
So right now we're doing all the qualification matches, and so far so good with that. Pretty stoked. The winner of the King of the Ring gets a IWL Heavyweight Championship title match, and also a 3-month subscription to the WWE Network. So it's gonna be awesome. That's gonna be Cycle 73, folks. Cycle 73. That's when the matches go in, and then we'll do some matches. Title matches. And if we want to do some write-ups, we can do it at that. For Cycle 74. Yeah, that's it for the IWL. Next up is the NWL League Champion, Alpha Male XD, TV Champion, The Assassin, Atlantic, Master of Disaster, Central, Hostile Takeover, Dixie, Lord Drama, Eastern, Adam Maddox, Mountain, Black Belt Jones, Northern, Thomas Keister? Keister? Like butt?
Yep.
Okay, good for him. Pacific, Captain Scrummy, Prairie, Winston Smith Jr., Southern, Ricky Kyle, Western, Reaper, Tag Team, Aaron McFleece and Hostile Takeover, TV Tag Team, Lockdown, and Stan Morgan, 6-man, El Kakamani, Thomas Keister, and Tommy Chronic. TV 6-man, Alpha Male XD, Hostile Takeover, and the Patriots. So don't forget that our next pay-per-view, the NWL, is the Rumble in the Bronx. Make sure that you get your $1 submission sooner rather than later. Don't forget the prize for that is a $50 IWA credit. So that's a huge prize.
Yes.
And don't forget what the Rumble in the Bronx is. So for guys who weren't in it last year, the ring is raised an additional 15 feet. So it's about a 25-foot drop to the floor. Ringside is covered with broken glass, thumbtacks, and live scorpions. So just keep that in mind when you're writing your TT for this event. Again, no one wants to be thrown out of the ring because there's a good possibility that you might actually die. So there you go.
That's right.
So first up for the NWL TT, we have a picture of Luther Alexander and Art Deco. And they say Kings Fall, foundations break, but revolutions last forever. It's a true statement. We have a poster for Glorious Thursdays. It's like King Philip took it upon himself to make his own television show, which is a good possibility that Luther Alexander might have to crash. We'll see about that. We have the who's not section. Red Rum Vendetta, who is hot. The Terminator, who's also hot. Giant Sasquatch, who again is also hot. Who's not is Aaron McFleece, Chang Sang, my new favorite wrestler, and Meatball. We have a promotion for Luther Alexander's book, Wrestling with the Devil. It's #1 seller on Amazon. Forget about that. And also we have E! True Hollywood Stories with Meatball. Demoted Overweight Loser. That's tonight on E! Is that channel still around?
Sure.
I don't even watch TV. TV is for suckers. We have a promo by King Phillips, a promo by the Terminator, another promo by what is it, Squash, and then Meatball and Squash and some shenanigans, and all stuff that is posted on the Facebook page. Again, if you're not a member of the Facebook page, I'll leave a link in this video. You should really consider joining because you get stuff early, you get to communicate with the community, and it's a lot of fun. Yes. We have some deep thoughts with Joe Boring, who is hilarious, by the way.
Love Joe Boring.
Yes.
And by the way, I'm not Joe Boring.
It's true. It's true. And Shannon, Ireland, nearly 11,000 people in attendance. Deathcath match between the Drunk Camper and I believe it's the Reaper. The Reaper scares me. I learned to fear the Reaper.
Yeah.
So it looks like that feud is continuing, and I'm really glad to see. We have a interview with the Drunken Fisherman, who is currently who was the Atlantic champion at the time. Looks like he's going after McFleece. He just with his gauntlet. I like the picture. It looks like it's the who's the fisherman with the fish sticks?
Gordon's Fisherman.
Yeah, this one reminds me of. He's ridiculous.
Trust the Drunken Fisherman.
Yeah. A promo by the Nonconformist champion, a #1 contender, #1 international contender for the NWL National Championship, which, again, me being ironic, I guess. Winston Smith Jr., so good for him. He's gonna be a big time free agent, so it's gonna be curious about where he's gonna go.
Yeah.
Forward. We have a promo from Ricky Kyle again. Fantastic stuff here. The Fortune 500, Adam McPhee speaks. Claims that he doesn't pander to Luther Alexander. He doesn't deliver his promos in haikus or rap songs, and he's not Black Belt Jones. So there you go. Let's see, he's going to do a best of 5 with Adam Maddox. It's another guy that I love. We have a promo from gentleman William Worthy. I like how he got everyone's picture wrong, and they're all basically jobbers. Which is hilarious. I like that Barry O is Chang Sang, and it's spelled wrong.
He's worthy, apparently.
Good for him. We have an interview from the Wild Side by Mr. Wildside himself, Adam Maddox. He's going to be a big deal. We have a promo by Chris Hero, who claims it's not the 70s anymore, and he's going to whoop Black Belt Jones's ass. There you go. We have Lord Drama, who's going to start the DWO, or the Drama World Order. And he's invited a bunch of wrestlers, most of them who are inactive, and the rest of them probably wouldn't join them anyway. I'm going to address that.
Okay.
We have a sneak attack by Lockdown and Red Run Vendetta. So Lockdown is beating some people up. And don't forget that we have the Wild Ones of Mr. Wildside, Adam Maddox, and Cole Adams. Feel the wildlife. The Wild Ones are here. So Matt, what are your thoughts on the NWL?
Oh, it's a fun time. I think it's growing back nicely from its pruning.
I told you guys don't worry. It happens all the time.
I would almost say, what's funny is, we'll talk about the IWAR draft in a second, but I almost thought about doing an IWAR draft earlier, but I think, no, let the guys go, because I think guys like Winston Smith Jr. and McFleece might miss the draft, if you want to say that, but, you can still enter it wherever they go. But it was a good cycle as far as Trash Talk bouncing back. I'm curious to see what this Worthy Classic's about, because it doesn't really say what they're doing. It just, like you said, it's like all these wrestlers pictured with the names wrong, so I don't know what's going on. Probably a kid.
Bless his heart. All right, so that is the NWL in a nutshell. We do have a new Rising Star champion, which I believe is Adam Maddox, by the way.
Uh-huh.
He beat, what was it, Super Lynx, Super Tiger, Tiger Lynx?
Those guys too.
Tiger Dookie.
Tiger Dookie.
I knew a kid named Dookie. His name was Dookie Williams.
Oh my God.
I don't think Dookie was his real name, though.
What's that smell?
Dookie.
I do want to do a special shout out to IWA Flip, who has returned with the Howard Foundation, and his fantastic photoshopping skills are on display if you look at the current IWA Ringside magazine with a fantastic new logo. If you're ever curious why the cover has the random pictures on the bottom, we put the picture of the IWAR World Champion, the World Tag Champions, and IWAR Six-Man Champions, then the next kind of event going on, and then the next pay-per-view of note. So
Nice.
there was a special report in this edition, so a couple of changes to the IWAR World Championship format. We used to do like every champion got a chance to get a shot, but it was really leading to a lot of like one-cycle champions and the ball hot potato game. So what we're doing now
unless you're Duchesne and he holds the belt forever.
Yeah. So that's right. So what we're doing now is kind of what we do in the BRL. So we will have a process in place where the current regional champion or the global champ or commissioner champion from each of the leagues whoever has the best strategy after 4 cycles on average, or 3 cycles, will challenge the champion next. But we won't have it be the same person twice. So for example, if this time it's Great David, next time it won't be Great David, it'll be the next best available strategy. That way it kind of gives more freedom to the championships, if you will. The championships will be defended in a 3-cycle process. So there are 3 matches, and over that time, depending how they do, so for example, if one guy wins by 5, then loses by 5, then wins by 1, he wins the title. If he, challenging. This will set up things. We will have occasional situations where a unusual champion or challenger sits in, whether it's a mystery challenger or they win a tournament. That'll be the same idea. So it's a 3-cycle process. So we'll write those up probably as triple threat matches. So,
I usually call them the international, the number 1 international contender.
Right.
That's the phrase I use for any of those guys that off the beaten path.
The biggest headline story was Bad Company reuniting after 20 years? 20, yeah, 20 some odd years. So Rick Challenger is back in the IWA. He was one of the most hated men. He was part of the first class of IWA Hall of Famers, which were voted on by players. There was a board of committee at the time, which, good Lord, I was a part of way back when. So there's that. And then some other stuff going on. I meant to mention the BRL, an important note. We are adding an additional commissioner's title. Bum, bum, bum.
What?
Yes. So right now we have the Global, the Intercontinental, the Canadian, and the Global Tag. Now, the way I structure the BRL and the rankings is based on your wrestler's strategy average or tag team average of 3 cycles. So it always gives you a chance to have another shot at the title within a few months. It's worked really well. One problem was we had a lot of female wrestlers. Now, the first time I sort of dealt with it by using the old luchador excuse and having it be, well, they're crazy, they're cross-dressing wrestlers. But now we have more and more female wrestlers, so we're adding a women's championship. It'll be called the Double X Championship for the Chromosomes. So we've got Queen Isabella, we've got Jane the Vixen Red, Natalie Bowen, and a few others. So on the Imagibash pay-per-view, we will have a special battle royal to determine the first Double X champion.
So if you want to add your women's wrestlers in the league, this would be probably the time to do it, correct?
Right, and that's going to give you a shot at, getting in there. A lot of players have said, hey, I might make a wrestler up and give it a go. So there's that. We did have a 2-page tribute to the various IWAR Tubecasts.
That's because they wanted you to have an extra page, right? To make it even.
Yeah, they actually ask. If you're a commissioner out there, they actually prefer if you have pages divisible by 4, so 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, etc. It just makes it easier on them.
Yeah.
Man, I missed Monty Roach. Sorry,
He's dead.
He's one of the ads. Monty Roach.
Oh, he had mesothelioma.
Oh, shit. Watching too much TV. Mesothelioma.
I'm gonna sue and get some money.
Call for your free brochure.
I don't know why I'm laughing at that.
Yeah.
Fuck those guys. Oh, do you want to talk about the NWL thing, the countdown?
Oh, yes, let's do that. Okay, so another addition to the exciting NWL is going to be what we call the NWL countdown. So what has happened over the years, we've set in place a 17-cycle limit. So you're in the NWL, you get to learn the game, and then once you get good at it, you get to go and transfer to a new league for free. Here's the thing. Over the years, we've had a couple of examples where people have overstayed their welcome, essentially, and we've been pretty much nice about it. We're always like, hey, we got to transfer out soon. Some players have been like, oh, okay, no problem. Other players have ignored us. Some players have been like, yep, I will, and never do it, And we had a situation where a player was upset about some of the things, and I was like, well, we'll address those things, but just so you know, you've also been in the league almost twice the limit. So we're at a point now. What we're going to do in the game is that we're going to have this 1-page sheet, and I'm working on the design, but essentially it'll be a 17-cycle recap of your wrestler, almost like a baseball card, except it'll be all the wrestlers. So let's say your wrestler was Joe Boring. You have Joe Boring, debut cycle, let's say like 91. Well, you'll have a block for each square to show what your strategy was, the value was that each cycle. So you can see how you did. You can see if you want to title that cycle, how many points you earned, and you can track yourself against like the best performers of all time. We're going to have the records on the bottom, so you can kind of see, gee, I want to have a lot of shot at like winning the most regional titles ever. Well, if you don't challenge a regional champion every cycle, or we only challenge one of them, you're not going to break that record. So this will be a way for us to know who should be moving on, who should be in the league, because I think the biggest reason we do this, have this 17-cycle limit, because people love the NWL, and we appreciate that, we really do, is that we want you to take your energy and fun and bring it to a new league, but also for the guys that are learning the game, have a shot at winning. Because what happens sometimes, and too often I think actually, is a player comes along and they're just destroying everybody. Okay, that's great. Their graduation point hits. Okay, great. They don't leave. Now every time they win a title, that's a title they're taking out of the hands of a rookie or a newer wrestler who could have that title. And a lot of these guys that play the game, believe it or not, put a lot of pressure on themselves to win. And when they don't win, they get mad and they quit sometimes. So it's a way of just keeping the game more available for players and keeping it fair. He holds the Billy Madison role. Billy Madison's a movie where Adam Sandler goes back to high school or like grammar school, and he's playing dodgeball with other kids, and he's just destroying them. And it's the same idea. So just keep an eye out. I'll be finishing it up probably this weekend, maybe tomorrow. I'm also working on the NWL's new welcome packet, so lots going on NWL-wise. So.
Awesome, fantastic. So, looks like we're officially out of time. We went an hour and 15 minutes. This will be the longest Tubecast to date.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. There's always a thought of I should break it up in parts, but that's too much work. And yeah, I did that once, and I was like, nah, I'm not doing that again. So, for Matt Riley, I'm Alex G. Have a good night. Ryan Patrick doesn't really smell like curry. It's more like you ever like go to like a rainy day, right? And the next day is really hot because it's the summer.
Yeah.
And then you go over by a dumpster. He smells like the shit on the bottom of the dumpster.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's gross. Bless his heart.
It is.